Welcome back, children. Let us start our chapter South Asia and Contemporary World. So, first of all, we must understand what is South Asia. South Asia, basically, it is all our neighboring country, which includes Bangladesh, Bhutan, India, Maldives, Nepal, and Sri Lanka. So all these countries are called South Asian countries. So in this chapter we'll be studying about how is the democracy is there in these countries and how it the India's relation and what are all the efforts for the peace and democratization in these countries. So the first is we'll be studying our next neighbor, the military and democracy in the Pakistan. So as we know, the General Ayub Khan, he took over the administration of the Pakistan after adopting the first constitution. So like Ayub Khan, he gave up his office due to the popular dissatisfaction against his rule. So what happened during Yah's military rule, Pakistan faced the Bangladesh crisis, and after a war with India in 1971. So then what happened? Each Pakistani, they emerged as an independent country and they called Bangladesh. So what happened after that? The elected government under the leadership of Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, they came into the power in Pakistan from 1971 to 1977. So then the Bhutto government was again removed by the General Zia-ul Haq in 1977. So then there was a pro-democracy. So this thing already I had explained to you. In 1971 there was a Bangladesh crisis. So then in 1971 to 1977 there was a democracy under the leadership of Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, and then 1977 the Bhutto government was removed by the General Zia-ul Haq. Then in 1982, the pro-democracy movement was started. So it was basically the Pakistani politics was centered around the competition. The Pakistan People Party and the Muslim League, this phase of elective democracy lasted till 1909. When the army stepped in again, then General Pervez Musharraf removed the Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif. This in 1999, the military rule under the General Pervez Musharraf, and then in 2018, the Imran Khan won the general election. He became the 22nd Prime Minister of Pakistan. So now, what were the reasons for the failure of the democracy in Pakistan? The first and foremost reason was there was a social dominance of the military clergy and the land-owning aristocracy. Then there was a Pakistan's conflict with India. The major reason was there, which the military group was more powerful and the people were very authoritative and the people were not directly involved in it. Then the lack of general international support for democratic rule in Pakistan. Like Western countries, they believe that Pakistan rule in Pakistan is more suitable to check global Islamic terrorism and to avoid the misuse of nuclear. So then this is what we have studied till now for the Pakistan. So now as we are shifting to the next, Bangladesh. So in Bangladesh also it was a part of Pakistan from 1947 to 1971. Then it consisted of the partitions areas of Bengal, Assam, and British India. So the people of this region resented the domination of Western Pakistan and the imposition of the Urdu language. So then, soon after the partition, they began protest against the unfair treatment meted out the Bengali culture and language, and they also demanded fair representation in the administration and a fair share in the political power. So then, in 1971, Bangladesh became an independent state after a strong popular movement against the discriminatory attitude of Pakistan. Then the government toward the East Pakistan. Then the first constitution of Bangladesh was secularism, democracy, and socialism. So then, however, in 1975, Sheikh Mujib got the constitution amended to shift from the parliamentary to presidential form of government, and he also abolished all party except his own, the Awami League. Then this led to conflicts and tensions. Then he abolished all party except his own. Then Mujib-ur-Rahman was assassinated in 1975. So then in 1979, military ruler Ziaur-Rahman won the elections and ruled the country, and later he was also assassinated. And then there was a next ruler, he was Lieutenant General H.M. Irshad. So then there was a popular movements for the democracy. Popular movements are when the people, they form a pressure group and they pressurize to the government. Then since 1991, the Bangladesh follow the representative democracy based on the multi-party system where more than two parties are forming the coalition government. So then this was there till the Pakistan. So now next we are coming to monarchy and democracy in Nepal. So as Nepal was a Hindu kingdom in the past, and then the constitutional monarchy in the modern period for many years. So throughout this period, political parties and common people of Nepal, they wanted to have more open and responsive system of the government, but the king, with the help of the army, retained full control over government and restricted the expansion of democracy in Nepal. Then the king accepted the demand of new democratic constitution in 1990. Why he has accepted? Because in the wake of strong pro-democracy movement. Then these movements, they have a short and troubled career. Then in 1990, the Maoist influenced the spread in Nepal. Then the violence conflict between the Maoist guerrillas and the king's force. So sometimes the Democrats also joined the conflict. Then in 2006, the massive pro-democracy protest led by SPA. Now what is SPA? 7-party alliance, which already we have discussed. The multi-party system was there, then the Maoist and the social activities. Then the king restored the House of Representatives because of the strong popular demand. Then in 2015, Nepal became a federal democratic republic and there was a constitution in Nepal. So then ethnic conflicts and democracy in Sri Lanka now. As Sri Lanka has retained democracy since its independence, but in 1948 it faced a serious challenge, not from military monarchy, but rather than from ethnic conflict leading to the demand of succession by one of the region. So Sri Lanka was dominated by the forces that represented the interest of the majority Sinhala community. So then the Sinhalas were hostiles to the Tamil migrated from India and believe that Sri Lanka belongs to Sinhalese people, but in 1983 onwards the armed struggle between LTTE. What is LTTE? This is very important. The Liberation Tigers of Tamil Eelam and Sri Lankan Army. So then LTT demanded Tamil Eelam or a separate country. So then in 1987 India sent military troops to Sri Lanka. Then Sri Lanka saw the Indian military actions, an attempt by India to interfere in the internal affairs of Sri Lanka. So then in 1989 the Indian peacekeeping forces pulled out of Sri Lanka without attaining its objective. So 2009 Sri Lankan army defeated the LTT and established control over the entire country by the Sri Lankan government. So Sri Lankan crisis continued to be violent. However, international actors, they have tried to bring the varying group back to the negotiation, but the future of the island hinges on the outcomes of these talks. Then what was the achievements of the Sri Lanka? So basically the Sri Lanka was one of the developing country. So then they were successful in high economic growth with all these things. They were having high level of human development. They got a very good control over the population. They were the first liberated economy in the region. There was a high per capita gross domestic product. So then India and Bangladesh relations. So between India and Bangladesh, what was the disputes? There was a dispute of sharing of Brahmaputra river waters. Then the illegal immigration to India from Bangladesh. Then Bangladesh, they were supporting to the anti-Indian Islamic fundamental groups. Then the Bangladesh refusal to allow Indian troops to move through its territory to northeast India. Then the Bangladesh decision not to export natural gas to India. Then what was the complaints of Bangladesh against India? So India behaves like a regional bully over a sharing of river water. This is what the Bangladesh people they says. Then India is encouraging rebellion in Chittagong hill tracts. Then India is trying to extract the Bangladesh natural gas and unfair in trade. So then what was the relations? Then cooperation. So India was having better economic relations as Bangladesh was the part of India's Look East policy. There was a cooperation in disaster management and environmental issues. So then, how is India and Nepal relations? The citizens of these two countries allow the citizen to travel and work in other countries without visas and passports. This is what the very good relations they were having. So then, what was the area of dispute? Again, there was a dispute between the trade-related dispute, warm relationship between China and Nepal, Maoist movement in Nepal. Many Nepal leaders and citizens complain that India's interference in its internal affairs. India and Sri Lanka relation, as we have already done, the ethnic conflict in Sri Lanka. Then the factor which strengthened the relation, India and Sri Lanka has signed a free trade agreement. Then India's help in post-tsunami reconstructions in Sri Lanka. India and Bhutan relations, these citizens of these two countries allow their citizens to travel and work in other countries without visas and passports. Bhutan government has helped India to weed out guerrillas and militants. Hydroelectric projects in Bhutan supported by India. India and Maldives relations are also warm and cordial. India helped Maldives when it was attacked by Tamil mercenaries from Sri Lanka. India has also contributed toward the Islamic development, tourism and fisheries. Now what is SAARC? It is very, very important. SAARC, it is a South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation, like all the countries of South Asia. They have formed one association in 1985, though it's not a great success, but all the SAARC members, they signed the SAFTA. Now what is SAFTA? It is the South Asian Free Trade Agreement to strengthen trade as well as the foreign relations. So some of India's members feared that SAFTA is a way for India to invade their markets and to influence their society and public. But India thinks SAFTA is useful for all the countries because it gives the free trade relationships everybody can enjoy.